I'm tired. Do y'all mind? Ooh, okay. Remember we left off at, this is video 5. Welcome. So if this is your first time here, you need to go back to you're missing some videos, okay? We moving right along. Because it's the healing we want to get to, and I don't feel real healed yet. And I know y'all don't. So, okay. We left off at this, we were talking about the origin of the word slave, dating back yonder, 13th, 14th century, way on back somewhere. From a peoples called Slav, not African, just Slav folks, that were conquered and whatever. And they were captives of war. So captives of war were prisoners of war and enslaved. So add an E and boom, you had a slave. So, but as far as American slavery, the slave trade, that uh, status was legalized in the American colonies in a different kind of way. Okay. So we left off, in finishing up on the origin of this word, its meanings in history, around the globe, in different cultures, how it was pronounced or spelled or the definition of it, lots of similarities, a few different things. And we left off with the Old English word, peode, P-E-O-D-E. That just seems something real simple, but it meant both race, quote, race, and quote, language, end quote. It meant both of those. Peode, who would have known? So, I mean, it's Old English, so I don't guess it's an existing word anymore. But like if I went to say, well, what race am I? Well, what peode am I? Or I am of the peode Okay, so we got to Gross's dictionary, Gros like Sam, E''S. So it sounds like, ooh, that's gross, but it's Grossies or Gross's dictionary. Look it up for yourself. The word Negro. Now I know a lot of us are like, okay, well, where did that come from? Negroes and such. Because I understand it is being attributed to blacks or Africans, African Americans, or slaves or whatnot, Negroes. And we won't go there with the other word. We're not going there. But Negro, Negroe, in this Gross's dictionary in 1785. What that meant back then, quote, a a black dash A, like an A, dash capital letter M like Mary, OOR. Now you can look up the history of the Moors, MOOR, peoples. Study the Moors, study them, look them up, and put that together. But in Gross's dictionary back then in 1785, Negro meant a blackamoor. No, I don't even know why was anybody putting dashes in between the words. What is that about? That was in quotes, comma, figuratively used for slave, a blackamoor. It was figuratively used for slave. It really a blackamoor, but it was just kind of used for slave. Comma, quote, without regard to race, end quote. Now that's a new one. Negro in 1785 was just figuratively used for slave. It was not, it was without regard to race. So it wasn't assigned to Africans, or black people. Negroes, Negro. Study the Moors, the Moor people, Moor, study those people and look in Gross's dictionary. Negro, Negroe, quote, without regard to race, end quote. So somebody put it to the African slaves over here in America. And still putting it with African descendants. Negroes. We need to think about, as we learn, words we use or call ourselves or allow ourselves to be called or put on sheets of paper or whatever. Teachers on. Okay, so in Old English, Brighton, means a citizen or native of Great Britain. So Brighton, Briton, also began to use in the sense of serf. They were used to the indentured servants. Remember indentured servitude? So serf, S-E-R-F, like you go, like the surf, you go surfing, S-U-R-F. Well, it's S-E-R-F. Britons began to use that. And Sanskrit dasa, S-A-N like Nancy, S like Sam, K like kangaroo, R like robot, I like India, T like tree. Sanskrit dasa, which can mean slave, apparently is connected to dasyu, which is D-A-S-Y-U, dasyu. And that is, quote, pre-Aryan inhabitant of India, end quote. Dasyu, a pre-Aryan inhabitant of India. And Gross's dictionary again in 1775. More common Old English words for slave were peow, like a cat says meow, but with a P. Related to peowia, P-E-O-W-I-A, peowia, which means, quote, to serve, end quote. And praal, and then it says see thrall, which means a slave, servant, or captive. Thrall, T-H-R-A-L-L, thrall. So prowl, thrall. But those words, piao, piawia, thrall, they were, and prowl, they were mixed in serve and captive and slave. The Slavic words for slave, Ruskiar, Rab, R-A-B, Serbio-Croatian, Rob. These are lowercase letters, so not like a person's name, Rob, but lowercase letters. Rab, Rob, Old Church Slavonic, Rabu, R-A-B, not Ragu, Rabu, R-A-G-U, are from Old Slavic Orbu. I mean, O-R-B-U, Orbu, from the pi root, and I mean from the capital P-I-E, like a pie, a cherry pie, but pi, and then lowercase letters, separate word, root. Slavic Orbu, from the pi root orb, O-R-B-H. So it goes from Orbu to orb, O-R-B-H. Also source of orphan. Words related to slavery, slaves and stuff. Orphan. I tell people I'm an orphan all the time. It's true. But I don't mean to be telling people I'm a slave. I had no clue that that's where the orphan who comes from Orb and Orbu and Rabu and all this. Really? If it's not bad enough to be motherless or father or parentless for some tragedy here and yonder, but it was considered a slave kind of word too. Really? That's not nice. I won't be telling about I'm an orphan. I have to say it another way. Because that's like saying I'm a slave. See, knowledge is powerful, isn't it? It just, we don't know how things are made a part of who we are and what we come into and what we do and how we're trained or the lack of it, what we're told and taught or the lack of info. So they're running around, oh, I'm an orphan. Well, I won't be saying that anymore. And if I see a parentless child or infant, that's what I will be calling him or her or them. Parentless children or infants or people, not orphan slaves. The ground sense of what seems to be, quote, things that changes allegiance. So the ground sense of these words for slave and all this is the thing that changes allegiance. In the case of slave, from himself, his allegiance to himself changes it, his allegiance to his master. That's, the Slavic word is also the source of, y'all not going to believe this one, but here we go. But see that Rob, remember Rob and Rab and Rob and Rabu, like Ragu, but not Ragu. Well, look at here. It's the source of the word robot. Well, but when you think about it, what are robots made to do? To do stuff. They don't hurt so far or feel, but I kind of get it. But I mean, who would have thought? Robot is a slave. Reference similarity. A robot. Do this, do that. It kind of makes sense, but it just seems like that's so modern. But we're talking about something from way, way back. Origins. So isn't that something? WordNet dictionary. WordNet is one word. WORDNET dictionary. Entries that are near the word slave. We're getting to the end of this slave origin thing. It's kind of big, isn't it? Slatternly, SLATTERNLEY, slatternly. Look up what that means. Slaughter, we know what that means. Slaughterhouse, see that was we know where that come from. Slav, remember the Slav people? Slave, you just add an E on it, and then you got slave. Slaver, slavery, Slavic, Slavish. And here's one that I'm like, okay, well, somebody's got fair fancy with it. I don't know if that's a good way to say it, but how about this? Slavocracy. SLAVACRACY. Slavocracy. I mean, I know I make up words, but that sounds like a made up word, but it's not. It's in the word dictionary. Slavocracy. What is that? The hypocrisy. I mean, anyway, 1789. Let's see how much time we got on this video. 5. We got a little time. Let's finish this word origin thing out. 1789. So see, we left 1785 and all of that. Gross's dictionary, Negro, and Piao, like meow, rabu, rob, orbu, orphan, something that changes allegiance from is enslaved from himself to his master, robot. Okay, so now we're in the 1789, a few years later. Indian tribe of northwestern Canada, from slave, translating in a Native American language called Cree, 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 Algonquian, Alonquian, Algonquian. So translating Cree, which is a Native American language. I don't know if it was the Native American language across the board, but it was a Native American language. And people that know more about linguistics than me know that and then some. But this word was Awaken, Awahkan, Awaken. And what that meant was, quote, captive, comma, slave, end quote. A captive slave. And Awaken. Now, 1719, which I missed somehow over here. So, because we had 1789, jump all the way back, but I had to throw it in here. And that's just slaved, slaving, which is related to attested. Also, clue, Kleu, clue dash CIO, CIAO, clue, clue, CIAO, I don't know, comma, esclavage, comma, and galley dash slave. So galley slave. I don't know, I guess ship type stuff. Okay, into the 1800s, 1807, a little bit more familiar, slave dash driver. So slave driver, comma, which means the extended sense of, quote, cruel or exacting taskmaster, end quote, by 1854. It meant the extended sense of it meant cruel or exacting taskmaster, cruel and do it I'm talking about exactly this way. 1812 slave state. I was just in U.S. history, the slave states. 1904, especially those controlled by others, is what slave meant. Then you have towards the end. This is the end of this whole slave word thing. Slave jib, JIB, in sailing. So when you sail, I don't know. Look up a jib. I don't know if is that the rope or the curve. I don't know. Is in sailing, comma, a locomotive of all things. And I thought a locomotive, but what? But then what does that mean? Something working hard. The chain. When it's pulling stuff, and there's freaking coal and smoke and stuff. So there's a lot of dirt and a lot of energy. So I could kind of see it from that vantage point. But when I first saw it, I thought, now that is going too far. I thought they went too far with robot. But locomotive. And the last two words, flash bulb, 2 words, like a flash bulb, like a flash bulb. And I don't get or know, or I can't figure out that one. What flash, what, like shockaroo or something, or bulb? I don't get that one. So I'm gonna have to find some researcher or somebody that can explain that one. I don't have a clue on that, but it's in this deal. And amplifier is the last word that is related to slave. Now I'm thinking amplifier. So, in music, it amplifies the sound of the band or whatever, the drum or the bass of singing. So yeah, you amplifier there. And that's related to slave. Well, what does that mean? To make loud, or to like boom, or to carry the heavy sound. You know what? That's that. Now see, look at that. The word origin of slave, the word slave. Who would have thought? Now we know. And I'm at the end of this, what I call section of the series. I've got 10 minutes. And this one is going to cause at least one more video for this time frame. And then I'm going to call it, you know, a night. That wasn't my clock. That was somebody calling in. Okay, now let's take a deep breath. Hot in here. Now, I'm goofy by nature. I may have said it before, whatever, but don't get it twisted. Don't take me wrong. I'm a big-hearted person, a sensitive person, a serious-minded person, a big-hearted person, a God-fearing person, loving person. This is not fun, funny, pleasant. This whole situation at hand from then to now. So my own personality, persona, facial expressions, goofballishness or whatever, that's just me being me. I hope that it doesn't overtake or come through too much, because these are obviously historical but serious and deep and saddening histories and topics and information and so forth that leads to more sadness and carrying on. So I don't want anyone to presume or be offended thinking that I'm wanting funnies or making funnies. There's nothing funny about any of this. Nothing. Nothing. As a matter of fact, I didn't look the word funny up. We can imagine. I think we most all came time. We all know what funny means, pretty much, right? Pretty much. And I would gather, since we talk about word origins and dictionaries and such, that all of this is the complete opposite, under the ground opposite than funny. So there you have it on that one. That's my opinion. And I'm sure a whole bunch of people would agree with me. Now I got 7 minutes. So the last part of this gets into the justification for slavery. How was it justified? We know the powers and abilities, who, what, when, where, and how, who rose to what, how this was able to be forged and established, and cost and all of it, and dominance and everything, and the origin and wording and whatnot. But what about the justification of enslaving people and mistreating and carrying on? How is that justified? Especially amongst religious people. How was that justified? I'm going to tell you from the research, not from me, my opinion. But since that needs the last video, then I'll just say this right here. And this is just something I decided to do because I did say I'm a positive and a fair-minded person, and I am. So I have to remind you all that I don't want to get stuff pigeonhole. Don't pigeonhole me, and I'm not trying to pigeonhole anyone else. So I have to periodically break this thing up. You can pigeonhole me if you want to, but I'm not going to accept it. So I'll just use this last of my 6 or 7 minutes to take about 5 minutes to. I'm going to read this, and it's about the Karen phenomenon. And I looked it up. There's actually some history behind this Karen name. A couple of different. It's 2 histories: the name itself, and then how it's being used as the Karen women or the Karen videos that I'm not seeing as many lately, thank God. And the ones I have, and if people want to do what you do, if people want to keep filming people cutting up or acting racist, appearing racist, arguing with each other, whatever it is, and calling the white person Karen. My thing is, if they're really cutting up, and because there's a lot of people named Karen that are probably not feeling real good right about now. And I don't like things I don't like not being nice towards people. That's not, I mean, I want nice, so what I'm gonna be. I want nice, but I'm not gonna be nice. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I say catch it on tape, especially if they can get you in trouble or if it's some mess or whatever. But if possible, especially if it's something really serious, like the lady in Central Park and that whole mess, could have got that man jailed, harmed, worse. That's not cool. That had me messed up. And then George Floyd thing a day or two later, and I was through. So please, do you. But my thing is, if you want to call it a Karen video, which is somebody's name, that's probably not even the name of the lady that's in question, try to find out that lady's name. It all smashes out. And if it's that serious, say their name. So if their name is really something else, Miss Brown or Jimmy Jane Johnson or whatever, then say that so they can be identified, because it's just a bunch of Karen clones. Don't nobody know them. So you're putting them on the spot for bad behavior or misbehavior or public discord and calling them Karen. If you're going to bust somebody out and put them on blast, you can call them Karen all you want to. But say it's a Karen style video, them Karen kind of like acting women or whatever, if that's what you want to keep doing. But find out the name of the individual who is harming you or bringing potential harm or discredit or defamation to your name or your feelings or whatever, your race and whatnot. And get the name and put their name out there so people can know, not just trying to identify who the person looks like. They'll be able to identify, oh, that's my neighbor, Miss So-and-so, acting up. And I mean somebody that's really acting up, not just one opinion versus another opinion and it's a draw. I'm talking about really a problem situation. Get their name. Put the name there. Well, put it like this. I can't tell y'all what to do, but trust me, if I end up in a situation of sorts, whether it's a man, a woman, or whoever it is, I'm not fixing to have time to be talking about if it's Karen or whoever. It's going to be Jane Doe. And if I can get a middle name or a middle initial, that's going in there too. And a car description and everything. That's all I'm saying on that. Amount of time on this video. Video 6 is going to complete the night with the justification for slavery and this little history I need to read about this Karen phenomenon, because I gave my thoughts on it before I actually read the history and I did it backwards. Okay, be right back. Number 6, and that'll be it. I think I've given y'all enough to let's see. I'm getting told to be quiet. Okay, be right back with number 6.